The cold wind cut through the small town of Henderson like a sharp knife. It was just another ordinary day for the people of this tight-knit community, a place where everyone knew everyone else's business. But for Sergeant Anna Lewis, today felt different. It had been nearly 5 years since she left the military, since she had walked away from the only life she had ever known. The life that had been both her refuge and her prison. She had given up more than most people could imagine, a part of her body, a piece of her soul, and the belief in herself as a hero. Today, as Anna made her way into Mike's cafe, the weight of her past pressed heavily against her chest. A small bell chimed as the door to the diner opened. Anna's wheelchair creaked as she rolled inside, her eyes scanning the familiar faces. Every morning, she sat at the same table, ordered the same breakfast, and found a strange comfort in the routine. There was something about the mundane, something about the predictability that brought her peace. But today was different. As she approached the counter, she was greeted by Jenny, the young waitress who had worked at Mike's cafe for nearly a year. Jenny was always polite, always smiling, and Anna appreciated the warmth she brought to the place. "Good morning, Sergeant Lewis." "The usual?" Anna nodded, offering a faint smile. "Yes, please, Jenny. Just the usual." But before she could continue, something caught her eye. A group of young men sitting at the far corner of the diner were laughing loudly, their voices carrying across the room. They were looking in her direction, and Anna immediately felt a wave of unease. One of them, a tall man with dark hair and a cocky grin, stood up and walked toward her. "Well, look who it is," he sneered. "A hero, huh? You really think you're some kind of special soldier? I bet you couldn't even pick up a gun anymore." The word stung, but Anna remained silent. She had heard worse, had endured more than enough to know how to weather the storm. Her life as a soldier had taught her that, sometimes, silence was the loudest response. But today, the silence felt different. It felt like a reminder of all the sacrifices she had made, and how few people remembered or even cared. Jenny, noticing the tension, quickly tried to defuse the situation. "Hey, come on, guys. Let's keep it respectful." But the man wasn't done. "Respect?" he laughed. "I'm not sure what's so respectable about a soldier who lost her legs in a war that nobody even cares about anymore." The laughter from the group grew louder, and for a moment, Anna's mind flashed back to that day in Kandahar. The blast. The pain. The screams of her fellow soldiers. She remembered the feeling of her legs being torn away from her body, the way everything went dark and silent for a moment, before the weight of responsibility and duty brought her back to the world. Anna was saved from the flood of memories by the sound of a child's voice. A small boy, no older than 8, sitting with his mother at a table nearby, had been watching the scene unfold. The boy stood up and walked toward Anna, his eyes wide with curiosity and admiration. "Are you really a soldier?" the boy asked, his voice filled with awe. Anna blinked, caught off guard by the innocence of the question. "I used to be," she replied softly. The boy looked up at her, his face serious. "My uncle is a soldier too. He told me that soldiers are heroes. He said heroes help people. Are you still a hero?" The question caught Anna off guard, and for the first time in a long while, her heart felt something it hadn't in years: pride. Before she could respond, the man who had been taunting her spoke again. "See? This kid doesn't even know what a real soldier is. You think you're some kind of hero because you wore a uniform." But the boy wasn't finished. He turned to the man and said, "My uncle says that heroes don't stop being heroes just because they get hurt. Heroes do the right thing, even when it's hard." The words were simple, but they struck Anna like a bolt of lightning. In that moment, she realized something important. It wasn't about what other people thought of her. It was about what she had done and what she continued to do. She was still a hero, and no one could take that away from her. As the laughter in the diner quieted, Anna reached for her phone and made a call. Her voice was steady as she spoke, but her eyes were filled with something new, a sense of purpose. "Elliot, I need you to come here," she said. "I need you to bring the others." Within minutes, a convoy of military vehicles arrived outside Mike's cafe. The sound of tires screeching on the asphalt echoed through the streets as soldiers in full gear exited the vehicles. The young men who had mocked Anna fell silent as they saw the soldiers marching into the cafe, standing tall and proud. And then, standing at the front of the group, was her son, Lieutenant Elliot Lewis. "Elliot." Anna's voice cracked as she saw him. She hadn't expected him to come, not like this. "Mom," Elliot said, his voice filled with emotion. "I came to stand with you. These men," he gestured to the soldiers behind him, "are your brothers and sisters. We're here because you never stopped being a hero." Anna's heart swelled with gratitude and pride. She had never needed recognition, but in this moment, surrounded by those who understood her sacrifice, she felt something she hadn't in a long time, a sense of belonging. The man who had mocked her earlier stood frozen in place, his face flushed with embarrassment. The other patrons of the diner, who had been too afraid to intervene, now sat in stunned silence. Anna had proven something in that moment. Real heroes are not defined by their wounds, but by their actions, and as the soldiers stood at attention, Anna knew one thing for certain: the journey to being a hero was not just about the battles fought on the front lines. It was about the courage to stand up when no one else would. As the convoy of soldiers left the diner, the sound of their engines fading into the distance, Anna remained seated at the same table. The child's words echoed in her mind, the words that had rekindled a spark she hadn't realized was dying inside her. "Heroes help people," the boy had said, and in that moment, Anna realized that it wasn't just the battlefield where heroes were made. Heroes were forged in the small moments too, in the quiet corners of life where no one could see their struggle. Jenny approached her table once more, her expression one of tentative concern. "Are you okay, Sergeant Lewis?" she asked softly. Anna looked up at her, offering a small but genuine smile. "I think I'm better than okay," she said. "I've just remembered something very important." Jenny raised an eyebrow. "What's that?" "That even though I've been through hell, I still have something to give. Something to fight for," Anna replied, her voice steady. As she spoke, Anna's mind drifted back to her time in the military. The constant pressure, the endless battles, the bonds she had forged with the men and women who had become her family. She had always known that serving her country was a duty, but it wasn't until she saw the pride in her son's eyes that she understood the deeper meaning of that duty. It wasn't just about fighting for a cause, it was about standing up for what was right, even when it felt like the world had turned its back on you. For the next few weeks, Anna spent her days reflecting on her past, her experiences, and the people she had helped along the way. She didn't need recognition or praise, she had always found purpose in the quiet acts of kindness she performed. Whether it was helping a fellow soldier through a tough time or reaching out to someone in need, Anna had always believed that her true calling wasn't in the glory of the battlefield, but in the everyday sacrifices that people made for one another. But Anna also knew that the world was changing. The wars she had fought in seemed distant to many, and the sacrifices of veterans like herself were often forgotten. The community she had returned to was kind, but they didn't fully understand the weight she carried. And so, she decided to do something about it. It started with a small gathering at the local VFW hall. Anna invited other veterans in the area to come together and share their stories. It was a simple idea: one that she hoped would allow them to reconnect, to remind each other of the bond they shared. But as the night wore on, Anna realized that this gathering wasn't just about remembering the past, it was about healing the wounds that time had left behind. During the meeting, an older man named Tom, a fellow veteran, shared his story of coming home after Vietnam. He spoke of the anger he felt when no one welcomed him, when the public turned their backs on him and his brothers. He spoke of the shame he carried for years, the feeling of being forgotten. "I didn't know where to turn," Tom said, his voice trembling. "I didn't know how to ask for help, or who would even care. I thought I had to carry all that pain alone." The room fell silent as Tom's words resonated with everyone present. Anna's heart ached for him. She had been there too. She had been in that dark place where the weight of the world felt unbearable. But hearing Tom's story reminded her that the healing process didn't have to be solitary. It could be shared. That night, Anna decided that she would help veterans like Tom, and others like him, who were struggling to find their place in a world that had moved on without them. She began organizing weekly meetings, inviting veterans to come together, to share their stories, to talk openly about their pain and their triumphs. Slowly but surely, the group grew. Veterans from all walks of life, from all branches of service, came to those meetings, and together, they began to heal. One day, as Anna was sitting with Tom and a few others at a local cafe after one of their meetings, she saw a familiar face in the crowd. It was the same young man who had mocked her at Mike's cafe. He was with a group of his friends, laughing loudly, clearly unaware of the veterans seated nearby. For a moment, Anna considered confronting him again, but then she stopped herself. She had already done that once. What was more important now wasn't showing him how wrong he was, but showing him how strong she had become. Tom noticed Anna's gaze and followed it to the young man across the room. "You thinking of going over there?" he asked, his voice low. Anna shook her head. "No. I'm thinking about how much better my life is without wasting any more energy on him." Tom smiled, understanding her unspoken message. "You know," he said, "sometimes the best way to fight back is to just keep living your life. Show them you're not the person they think you are." Anna nodded. "Exactly." It was in moments like these, in the quiet conversations over coffee, that Anna realized just how far she had come. She had once believed that her worth was tied to the battles she fought on the front lines. But now, she understood that her real victory was in the lives she touched and the people she helped heal. As Anna's involvement with the veterans grew, so did her sense of purpose. Every week, more and more veterans showed up at the VFW hall, eager to share their stories and struggles. Each conversation added another layer to the bond she had with them, each face a reflection of a battle fought, a sacrifice made. The hall had become a sanctuary for those who had long felt forgotten, a place where they could speak without judgment and find the support they needed. One evening, as Anna prepared for another meeting, she received a phone call that would change everything. It was her son, Jason. "Mom, I need to talk to you," he said, his voice shaky. I don't know how to say this, but I've enlisted. I'm going into the army next month." Anna felt a chill sweep over her. For a moment, she couldn't speak. Her mind raced, her heart pounding in her chest. Jason had always been so adamant about not following in her footsteps, about living a life away from the violence of war. But now, he had made a decision that threatened to pull him into the very world she had fought so hard to leave behind. "Why, Jason?" she finally managed to ask, her voice quiet. "Why would you choose this life?" "I don't know, Mom," he replied, his words coming faster now, as if he were trying to explain something that even he didn't fully understand. "I guess I just feel like there's something missing." Like I'm not doing enough. I want to help people, but I don't know how. Anna's heart clenched. She understood the feeling all too well. It was the same yearning that had driven her to enlist all those years ago, the same desire to make a difference, to protect others, to fight for something greater than herself. But she also knew the price of that path, the weight of the memories, the scars that never fully healed. I understand, Jason, she said, her voice thick with emotion. But you need to know what you're getting into. It's not just about helping people. It's about sacrifice. It's about loss. It's about living with things that never leave you. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. I don't know if I can do it, Mom, Jason admitted softly. I don't know if I'm ready. Anna's eyes closed, and she took a deep breath. She wished she could shield him from the pain, from the horrors she had witnessed. But she also knew that some things were inevitable, and the best she could do was offer him the wisdom she had gained through her own experiences. I can't tell you what to do, Jason, she said finally. But if you do choose this, just know that you're never alone. You've got me, and you've got the strength of every soldier who's ever fought for something greater. And you've got your own heart, your own reasons. Hold on to those. Jason's departure for basic training marked a shift in Anna's world. She had long been accustomed to dealing with the emotional scars of others, but the personal ache of watching her own son walk toward the very same battlefield she had once been thrust into was something entirely different. The weight of his decision weighed on her every day, even though she tried her best not to show it. He threw herself into her work, determined to channel her anxiety into something productive. The VFW Hall, a place of refuge and solace for veterans, became her second home. Each conversation she had with the veterans seemed to offer her a glimpse into the man Jason might one day become, a man who would find purpose in a world that often felt broken. However, as the weeks went by, Anna couldn't shake the overwhelming sense of unease. Despite all the progress she had made in her own healing journey, the thought of Jason on a battlefield brought back all the memories of her own time in the military, the constant fear, the uncertainty, and the heartbreak of losing comrades who had become family. Every time her phone rang, her heart skipped a beat, wondering if it was Jason calling to tell her that he was hurt, or worse, that he was gone. Her worst fears seemed to come to life when one morning, as she sat in her office, a news report came through on her phone. A military base in Afghanistan had been attacked, and there were casualties. She froze. Her breath caught in her throat as she read the words over and over again, trying to make sense of it. Her mind immediately went to Jason. Was he there? Was he okay? It felt as if the room closed in around her, the walls pressing in as her chest tightened. She grabbed her phone and called him. Her hands were trembling as the phone rang, but there was no answer. Panic rose in her, and for the first time in years, she felt the same kind of fear she had felt during her own deployment, the fear that nothing would ever be the same again. As the months passed, Jason's letters and phone calls became less frequent. Anna knew it was part of the process. Soldiers had a way of disappearing into the mission, of focusing on their duties and survival. But it was difficult not to feel the absence, to wonder what was happening in his world, in the places he didn't want to talk about. Meanwhile, Anna's role in the VFW community grew stronger. She became a steady presence for the men and women who came to her, sharing their stories of war and loss, each narrative a testament to the strength it took to endure what they had been through. She began hosting group therapy sessions, bringing together veterans from different wars to talk about their experiences. And the room would fill with the quiet understanding of those who had walked similar paths. One day, a man named Sam, a World War II veteran who had seen the horrors of the Pacific Campaign, shared a story that stuck with Anna long after the meeting ended. He spoke of a battle where his unit had been pinned down by enemy fire for hours. The soldiers around him had been injured, some fatally, but Sam had held his ground, rallying his comrades and keeping their spirits high. He talked about the moments of fear, the anguish of losing friends, and the gut-wrenching decision to leave fallen comrades behind in order to survive. "I don't think people understand," Sam had said in a shaky voice. "How much we carry with us. It doesn't just disappear when you come home. It stays with you, haunting you like a shadow. But you learn to live with it. You have to. Because if you don't, you'll break." Anna listened closely, her heart heavy with empathy. She knew the feeling all too well, the weight of memories that refused to fade, the guilt that gnawed at you, even when you knew you had done everything you could. Healing was never as simple as just getting over it. It was a slow, lifelong process, one that required the support of those who understood, who had lived through the same torment. "Sometimes, I think the only way we heal is by helping each other," Anna had said softly, her voice filled with conviction. "We can't do it alone. None of us." And Sam had nodded, the corners of his mouth twitching into a small, weary smile. "I think you're right, Anna. I think you're right." That was the moment when Anna realized the full scope of her mission. It wasn't just about helping veterans find a way to cope with the past, it was about creating a space where they could heal together, where their stories would no longer be silenced or forgotten. She wasn't just leading them through their pain, she was walking alongside them, a companion on their journey to healing. Years passed, and the veterans who had once been strangers to Anna became family. Each person who walked through the doors of the VFW hall brought with them a new chapter, a new perspective on what it meant to survive, to heal, and to live with the aftermath of war. Some came seeking help, while others came to give it, offering their wisdom to the younger generation of veterans who were just beginning their own journeys. One of the most rewarding parts of Anna's work was seeing the transformation in the lives of those she helped. She had watched veterans who once isolated themselves from the world slowly open up, start families, and build new careers. The bond between them was unbreakable. A testament to the power of shared experience and compassion, but it wasn't just the veterans who had been healed by the work Anna had done. She had healed herself in the process. As she helped others confront their pain, she found the courage to confront her own, the loss, the guilt, the wounds that had never fully healed. She had learned to let go of the past, to accept it as part of who she was, but not the defining force of her life. And then, one evening, as she sat in a VFW hall with a group of veterans, listening to their stories, she received a call from Jason. This time, his voice was filled with something new, a quiet strength, a sense of peace. "Mom, I'm coming home," he said. "I'm not the same person I was when I left. But I'm okay." Anna felt a rush of emotions surge through her: relief, pride, love, and the tears came without warning. She had feared this moment, but now, with him coming home, she realized that the true healing had been not just for him, but for her as well. "Jason," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "You're home. That's all that matters." As she looked out over the room filled with veterans, Anna understood that this was not just her journey. It was a journey that was shared by everyone who had walked through those doors, every person who had faced the horrors of war and come out the other side. It was a journey of healing, of rebuilding, and of finding hope in the darkest of places. And as the sun set over the horizon, casting a warm glow over the VFW hall, Anna knew that she had found her true mission, not in erasing the scars of the past, but in helping others live with them, with dignity, with strength, and with the unshakable belief that there was always hope, even in the aftermath of war. Conclusion: the journey of healing is not an easy road, nor is it one that ever truly ends. It is a continuous journey, one that requires vulnerability, strength, and the courage to confront the pain that lies deep within. But through that journey, there is hope, hope that, even in the darkest of times, light can be found. Anna's story is a testament to the power of resilience, of the strength that can be found when we reach out to others, when we share our struggles and our triumphs. It is a reminder that we are never truly alone in our pain, that there are always those who will walk beside us, helping us to carry the burden, to find peace, and to heal. The greatest gift we can give to one another is the space to heal, to grow, and to live with the scars of our past while moving forward with hope in our hearts. And that, perhaps, is the greatest legacy we can leave behind. Conclusion: the journey of healing. Healing is not an easy road, nor is it one that ever truly ends. It is a continuous journey, one that requires vulnerability, strength, and the courage to confront the pain that lies deep within. But through that journey, there is hope, hope that, even in the darkest of times, light can be found. Anna's story is a testament to the power of resilience, of the strength that can be found when we reach out to others, when we share our struggles and our triumphs. It is a reminder that we are never truly alone in our pain, that there are always those who will walk beside us, helping us to carry the burden, to find peace, and to heal. The greatest gift we can give to one another is the space to heal, to grow, and to live with the scars of our past while moving forward with hope in our hearts. And that, perhaps, is the greatest legacy we can leave behind. Conclusion: the journey of healing. Healing is not an easy road, nor is it one that ever truly ends. It is a continuous journey, one that requires vulnerability, strength, and the courage to confront the pain that lies deep within. But through that journey, there is hope, hope that, even in the darkest of times, light can be found. Anna's story is a testament to the power of resilience, of the strength that can be found when we reach out to others, when we share our struggles and our triumphs. It is a reminder that we are never truly alone in our pain, that there are always those who will walk beside us, helping us to carry the burden, to find peace, and to heal. The greatest gift we can give to one another is the space to heal, to grow, and to live with the scars of our past while moving forward with hope in our hearts. And that, perhaps, is the greatest legacy we can leave behind. Conclusion: the journey of healing. Healing is not an easy road, nor is it one that ever truly ends. It is a continuous journey, one that requires vulnerability, strength, and the courage to confront the pain that lies deep within. But through that journey, there is hope, hope that, even in the darkest of times, light can be found. Anna's story is a testament to the power of resilience, of the strength that can be found when we reach out to others, when we share our struggles and our triumphs. It is a reminder that we are never truly alone in our pain, that there are always those who will walk beside us, helping us to carry the burden, to find peace, and to heal. The greatest gift we can give to one another is the space to heal, to grow, and to live with the scars of our past while moving forward with hope in our hearts. And that, perhaps, is the greatest legacy we can leave behind.